The diner was nearly empty that night, the kind of place where the neon lights flickered just enough to remind you that time was passing, even if nothing else seemed to move. A young boy stood by the corner booth, his clothes too thin for the chill that clung to the air, his eyes darting between the plate of fries left untouched and the man who sat across from them. The boy hesitated, his voice trembling as he finally spoke. "Do you mind if I take your cold fries, sir?" The man, a business tycoon who had built his empire on quick decisions and unshakable confidence, froze. He had faced boardrooms filled with cutthroat competitors, had stared down investors demanding answers. Yet nothing had ever made him pause like the simple request from that boy. His gaze lifted, expecting to see a hungry child, nothing more. But when he met the boy's eyes, something cracked inside him. There was hunger, yes, but deeper still, there was a quiet resilience, a fire that had refused to be extinguished despite the storms it had weathered. And for the first time in years, the tycoon felt his heart shift. He pushed the plate forward without a word. The boy sat carefully, as though he feared the chair might reject him. He picked up one fry, chewing slowly, savoring it as if it were a banquet. The tycoon watched, his mind drifting back to another time, another place, a memory he had buried beneath the weight of wealth and ambition. He had been that boy once, barefoot, hungry, asking strangers for scraps while dreaming of a life that seemed impossibly far away. The diner's silence pressed in, broken only by the faint hum of an old jukebox that hadn't worked in years. The boy finally looked up, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Thank you, sir," he whispered. The tycoon felt words rising in his throat, words he hadn't spoken in decades. He wanted to tell the boy that he understood, that hunger isn't just in the belly, but in the soul, that sometimes all it takes is a single kindness to keep someone holding on. And so began a conversation that would stretch through the night, a weaving of two lives, one hardened by success, the other softened by struggle. The tycoon asked about the boy's family, his dreams, the places he wandered when the streets grew too lonely. The boy answered with honesty, his innocence untouched by the cynicism of the world. Each word chipped away at the walls the tycoon had built around his heart, walls made of money, pride, and regret. He found himself confessing things he had never told anyone. The cost of his empire, the people he had lost along the way, the silence that haunted him in mansions too large for one soul. The boy listened, not with judgment, but with the patience of someone who knew that silence could be heavier than hunger. And for the first time, the tycoon felt seen, not as a figure of power, but as a man who had once been small and scared. As dawn approached, the boy's head began to nod, sleep tugging at his fragile frame. The tycoon reached across the table, his hand trembling as it rested gently on the boy's hand. "You remind me of myself," he said softly, "and I can't let you walk the same road I did alone." That night changed everything. The boy walked out of the diner not just with a belly full of cold fries, but with a promise that the man who had built empires would help him build a future. And the tycoon walked out with something he thought he had lost forever, a heart that remembered how to feel, how to hope, how to love. In the years that followed, their paths intertwined in ways neither could have imagined. What began with a plate of forgotten fries in a forgotten diner became the spark of redemption, the rebirth of a man who thought he had nothing left to give, and the rise of a boy who dared to ask a simple question: "Do you mind if I take your cold fries, sir?" And when the tycoon had looked into his eyes, his world had shifted. His heart had never been the same.